LUFISTO buried the AEW women's division, and now those same women are burying her. Welcome back, guys, to Fog Wrestling. Little update here on the AEW / LUFISTO / women's division drama. So, as you know, or as you may not know, because she is pretty much a nobody, there is some wrestler called LUFISTO, an independent wrestler. I think she's pretty much known for having intergender matches with men. Anyway, she got a chance at AEW. It didn't work out, and she's no longer in AEW. She bashed AEW, said that the AEW women's division isn't good. She blamed multiple reasons for this. She blamed Tony Khan. She blamed Britt Baker. She blamed the women in general for trying to hold others back and trying to politic. She blamed men for being in charge of the division and not wanting the women to improve. She said the women's division isn't good and could be a lot better and it's never going to go anywhere. And she says that they're more interested in taking women's wrestling back to the dark ages and not improve it and go back to the Divas era. Look, she can say women's wrestling in AEW is not good. I kind of agree with that. But what I draw the line is, when she insinuates that going back to the Divas era would be bad, or that it would mean they don't care about it. How would be going back to when women were their most popular, when women were most over, when women drew the most eyes on TV? How the fuck would that be not caring about women's wrestling? Doesn't make any sense. We've had so many female wrestlers come out and say if it wasn't for the Divas era, they would not have got into wrestling. Last year, SoCal Fowl came in and she says that if it wasn't for the Divas era, if it wasn't for the Fallets, she would not have got into wrestling. Stacey Keibler, Tori Wilson, people like that, Trish Stratus, Lita, they all got into wrestling not because they wanted to have fucking 60-minute Iron Man matches, but because they wanted to be a part of like the glamour and the show business aspect. They didn't care about putting on 20 minutes, 25-minute fucking 5-star matches. So I hate this idea how if you care more about being like an attraction and being a character based and being based on looks rather than being based on like fucking Japanese toe holds, then all of a sudden you're a bad person or you don't care about women or this or that. I mean, a lot of women aren't interested in that. But anyway, she did bash it, and now she's getting bashed. We've had multiple AEW personalities fire back. Saraya said, quote, "The narrative going around is very disheartening, considering someone says that they want the best for women's wrestling, but buries it in a number of tweets. I will say, being in this company close to a year, my favourite part is being with the girls in the locker room. They uplift and support and laugh with each other every other week and only want the best for one another. We hype each other up. We buy each other wrestling gear, sometimes just as a little surprise. We text each other daily, and we are there as a shoulder too. This is one of the best locker rooms I've ever been in, and I refuse to let people twist it to be otherwise. Love you all, heart." End of quote. I mean, Saraya coming out and saying that her favourite part has been in the locker room. I mean, who gives a shit? That doesn't really mean anything. While she enjoys being around other women, doesn't necessarily mean the women's division is good. And I mean, the last time I checked, she preferred being in the locker room with guys, because that way she got an absolute dickin', Xavier Woods and Brad Maddox. But anyway, Saraya can say whatever she wants, but just because she likes hanging around with other women doesn't mean the women's division is good. Renee Paquet said, quote, "We have an incredible women's division that all look out for each other and support each other. I've never seen anything other than a safe space for a bunch of kick-ass women that all want to see each other and all of AEW shine to their full potential. Women hating women is a real dusty take." End of quote. Of course, Renee Paquet adding some feminism in there. Strong women supporting strong women. Taya Valkyrie, quote, "This narrative that all the AEW women hate each other is quite frankly annoying. I've been there 5 months and everyone from the second I walked in that building has been nothing but supportive, hyping each other up and badass. Stop pinning women against each other. It's getting old." End of quote. MELO, quote, "I'm pregnant and I'm going to see a high-risk doctor. I'm going through a lot. Going to AEW makes me happy. The whole locker room makes me feel loved. They listen to me. They support me. Last Wednesday, Ruby gave me a big hug and told me she is proud she is and reminded me how strong I am." End of quote. So, we have some women here firing back at LUFISTO. Are they right? Is she wrong? I don't know. But MJF then fired back and he was a little bit more abrupt. He kind of just went straight in here and basically called LUFISTO a nobody that's trying to bring everybody else down because she and her career is going nowhere. So MJF says, if you listen to miserable people who have never made it in this sport, that's not exactly the brightest thing to do. Use your brain. If someone been in professional wrestling for over a decade and you find them to be talented but they've never truly panned out, there's a reason for it. 1, lack of talent. 2, difficult to work with. 3, delusional, just to name a few. People love to talk ill of companies and will say things like, I'm the only person who's brave enough to speak up, when in reality, the only reason you're spewing bullshit is because you are aware deep down you aren't going to make it. So what's the harm in spewing reckless lies and trying to hurt hard-working, talented people on your way down to obscurity? We have an amazing women's locker room. Sorry, not sorry. End of quote. MJF here not holding back, attacking this LUFISTO. Like, I don't necessarily think that MJF's wrong. I don't necessarily think that the AEW women's locker room is like a nasty place or anything like this. I just think it sucks. You know, the women aren't that talented. The division isn't that good. I don't think Tony Khan seems to care that much about the women's division, but he shouldn't. Look, this whole make-believe thing that women in wrestling, women's wrestling, female wrestling should be pushed to the exact same level as men is bullshit. Men's wrestling has always been the draw. It always will be the draw. And the male wrestling, men wrestling, the world title is all more important than the women's title. So there is no equality in wrestling. It's just a thing that, it's like men's boxing. Men's boxing is always going to be better. Men's NFL is always going to be better. Men's football is always going to be better. More people care about it. It's played to a higher level. That's why they get more money. It's nothing about gender inequality. It's just the fact that men are better than sports. Men are better athletically. Men are better at professional wrestling than women. It is as simple as that. If women want to be better at professional wrestling than men, then they need to go back to the diva era. They need to go back to using sex appeal and getting over that way. Because they ain't going to get over doing the exact same thing that men are doing, because men are better at it. I mean, it really is that fucking simple. I don't know how people don't understand this. But anyway, LUFISTO again had to fire back at everyone, put out a couple of tweets. She said, good that everybody at AEW got the memo to write as much shit on me as possible so I can be seen as a waste of a human being, not worth living, and even people who I never had a single conversation with me. Even better to see people I never did anything wrong being so desperate to get a job, jumping on the bandwagon. Soon, I'll see you hypocrites be part of Be a Star, Mental Health Matters, advertisements acting like you care. Enjoy your paychecks and keep on stabbing each other in the back, pretending this is normal. I can only hope that your hate towards me will get you to finally fucking working together for the best of women's wrestling now that problems have been called out. So many are miserable, frustrated, and will whisper their anger, but never will stand up and speak. I wanted to leave this world knowing women's wrestling was better. It was for a while, but not anymore. The sad part is, you accept it without saying a word. It is what it is. What a waste. I don't know why she's like bitching and crying so much. She talks about people that have never had a conversation with her, bashing her, but there's probably people that she has never had a conversation with, and, you know, she's quite happy to bash them and say that the women's division in AEW sucks. So, I mean, it goes both ways. You can see her getting very defensive here because people called her out. I think she wanted everyone to agree with her, probably wanted everyone to kiss her ass and pretend like she's the greatest thing ever. I mean, you look at this LUFISTO, she's not feminine at all, looks like a man, probably looks like she hasn't had a shower in about 2 weeks. I don't think she is what we need in women's wrestling. I don't see her being a big main event attraction in any company, whether it be WWE or AEW, so maybe she can go back to the indies and, you know, do what she does best, pretend to be a man and wrestle other men, but I don't think she necessarily cares about the division. It's always people that don't really make it that always like try and bring something down, that always try and bash something, that always try and say, well, this ain't working and maybe if you hire me it'll work. Obviously, I just don't think this LUFISTO person is good enough to be in a major company. And AEW, it might be secondary to WWE, but it still is a major company, big TV deal, and it's it's the second choice to WWE. It's the alternative to WWE, so it is a big company to be in. And I just don't rate LUFISTO. I don't rate the women's division either, but I don't necessarily think that's Tony Khan's fault. I just don't think they have the good women in AEW, and you know what, maybe Tony Khan doesn't care about it that much, but I mean, whatever. If Tony Khan doesn't care about the AEW's women's division, that's up to him. There's there's nothing forcing him to, you know, push women's wrestling. He doesn't need to book women's wrestling as much as he does men's wrestling if he doesn't want to. It's his company, he can do what he wants. So yeah, screw LuFisto. And that's it. Didn't really want to talk about her. No real interest in her. Still no idea who she is, to be honest, but I mean, a lot of people were calling this out, and a lot of people were talking about it, and it seems to be like a big talking point as of late. We all know Becky Lynch and Trish got left off of SummerSlam, so yeah, I mean, this women's wrestling thing, this equality thing, you can see it's trending as well. I just don't understand why it's a big deal. You know, we have to live in a world now where we have to pretend that women are equal to men, and they're not equal. Especially not in professional wrestling. They never have drawn as good as the men, and they never will draw as good as the men, so it'll be a waste of time giving them that push. You look at the biggest stars in wrestling, it's Hogan, it's Austin, Rock, Cena, Flair, Taker, you name it. I mean, how far would you need to go down the list, honestly? If you're looking at overall, like the biggest stars to ever wrestle, how far would you need to go down to get to a woman? Let's be honest. No one. Becky Lynch's name doesn't mean shit compared to, you know, the peoples of the 80s and the 90s. She's a nobody. Her and Charlotte Flair like to pretend like they're big shots, but in an all-time list, they're not breaking the top 50. They're really fucking not. So yeah, that's it, guys. Catch you in the next one. Till then, peace.